Good morning, everybody. This is Grant from State of the Spark, and we've got a fun show for you today. We're going to be covering the glue that you're probably missing that ties all of your goals and successes and failures together into one awesome package. What is the success and goals glue? We're going to be covering that. We're going to look at Disney mashups in other news, as well as the youngest planet ever. And before all of that, you know what we're doing. We're covering Morning Cup of Gratitude. And real quick, listen, if you like the show, please like, subscribe, hit the subscribe button, or even consider sharing the show with anyone who might need an uplifting start to their week and any good, solid news. Let's talk about Morning Cup of Gratitude. Let's talk about it. I am so grateful for a lot this beautiful Monday. I'm grateful that it's Monday. I love Mondays. Sometimes Sundays are so slow. We had a good Sunday. We had a good weekend, but I'm grateful that we're out here and able to grind. I'm massively grateful for the two gentlemen I ran into this morning, and I'm going to share a little bit of how they influenced this morning's show and actually became the core of that. I'm grateful for a community week last week. I am so grateful for community. The Greek, communitas. It's not a location. It's not a certain part of the country. It's not a certain town or city. A community is the people. And I'm telling you, that is what we're talking about a little bit today. And hey, just a quick reminder, if you want to cover more stuff like this, the Goals and Gratitude Group, the Discord, please join the Discord. We're getting in a lot of good conversation. Our crypto investments are up. Some of them are up 30%. And anyone looks smart, but join the free Discord. It's in the comments below. And of course, if you want to get my actual trades and see all of our finances and learn from our experiments with financial time freedom, mental freedom, spiritual freedom, and emotional freedom, join the Patreon. That's all in the comments below. But skip that. Let's talk about other news. The youngest planet we have ever found has now set a new record. We have found a new planet about, actually, I don't know the distance from us. It's in the Taurus Cloud Nursery. A Taurus Cloud Nursery is where it's basically an area of space where we're giving birth to new solar systems, new planets. This particular planet is 100 times further from its sun than Earth is from our sun. That's pretty far. What the crap? Well, it's that much hotter in its sun. And that distance in that sun might be creating a Goldilocks zone of sorts. And so we're watching this planet quite closely. Now, what is the youngest planet ever? How young is this planet? It is a infantile 7 million years young. We first discovered it with the Subaru telescope, and it's been observed mostly with the Keck Observatory since. If you want to see photos, yes, photos, and these photos are very grainy. You can imagine they've been pointing their telescopes up at this thing for so long and collecting imagery after imagery, but it is intriguing to see another planet 7 million years young, and we can learn a lot. There it is in the thumbnails. Now, those bright marks in the thumbnails are actually a weird artifact of the planet itself. I'm sorry, of the telescope itself. That's the planet is not emanating light and heat necessarily, but that is a photo of another planet so far away in the Taurus cluster, Taurus cloud, 7 million years young. That's the youngest planet ever. Let's talk about Disney mashups with their voice actors. I don't know if you can legitimately call this art, but it is fun, right? So we have all grown up, well, in some way, shape, or form, everyone has their favorite Disney movie. You know, I grew up with Aladdin and Lion King and like these impact me. I even had a Lion King watch for a while in like 8th and 9th grade. I was that guy. Loved Aladdin. And artist Crystal Rowe decided she actually wanted to see what these Disney characters looked like when matched with their vocal actors. You know, if we thought about it real hard, we might be able to go, oh yeah, this vocal actor played Elsa and this vocal actor played, you know, whoever, Flynn, or you pick one, your favorite, Aladdin. Well, she actually wanted to see what this actually looked like. So she actually was an illustrator herself and took time to merge the look and feel of the Disney characters and superimpose the face of the voice actors, and it actually looks pretty trippy. And I don't know if you guys have remember this idea, like, did Shaq ever play a genie in a genie movie? And there's all this debate of, was it Sinbad the actor, was it Shaq, and Shaq played this, that, or the other, and your memory gets blurry the further away from time you get. This is a huge human trait that we can mix and match and rewrite our past histories. When I saw these photos of the mashup of the vocal actors with the actual character in Disney, it's actually hard to rewrite that out of my brain. So, like, you can see Kristen Bell played one of the characters. So you can see, like, Zachary Levi and Flynn, Idina Menzel, the Broadway actress, playing Elsa, Mandy Moore playing Rapunzel from Tangled. It's actually hard to, like, get that out of my head now. But look at the thumbnails and see if going through the day, if you picture the actual Disney illustrated face or these mashups after you've seen them. I think it's a pretty funny effect. You have the link there in the comments below. Check it out. You've got the thumbnail right there. You can see Elsa right, right there. So it's really funny effect that just blows my mind. It kind of melts my head a little bit. Let's talk about the glue that's actually tying together, or should be tying together, your successes and your goals and your failures. And this glue actually is probably the reason that you might have had successes but haven't felt successful. Let's talk about it. So some of you who have been around the show for a while or have read any of my books or any of that fun stuff, you know that back in 2005, I traveled semester at sea, and this was a big trip for me. And there was a major moment on this trip that was absolutely paradigm shifting for me. And if you're not familiar with paradigm shifts, you need to be. I was in South Africa, and me and David Harvitz, a friend, and one other kid, Josh, I think his name was, we had arrived in Cape Town, and we knew that we wanted to hike Platyclip Gorge. It's a gorge that kind of winds its way up, and if you're familiar with Cape Town, you're familiar with Table Mountain and Lion's Head. And Table Mountain is exactly what it sounds like. It's a huge plateau that pushes the city right up against the ocean, and the city of Cape Town has a beautiful port and beautiful people and a great jazz festival, which we discovered at the time. And then it also has the favelas and the shanty towns, which is very convicting. But then it goes right up, and there is a hiking trail that weaves into this gorge. And one of my favorite photos of myself leaning out over the gorge and looking down was taken in Platyclip Gorge in Cape Town, South Africa. And good morning, Zolo. I hope you're doing fantastic. And so this Platyclip Gorge is gorgeous, and we went up and we hiked this thing. And about halfway up, I realized the group that we were with. There was a bunch of people. There was not just me and David and Josh, but a whole array of people who had joined us on our trip, guys and girls, people from all backgrounds. And I was, at the time, in one of the best shapes I've ever been. And so I actually got out there and I started getting anxious, and I decided, that's it. I want to race up this mountain by myself. And so I took off. And it was a long hike. It was several hours hike. And I got to the top. And at the top of Table Mountain, it's gorgeous. You can see the green Indian Ocean meeting the blue Atlantic Ocean. And you can see the water swirl, and you can see the village. And I had such a fulfilling moment that I had pushed through. I had this massive challenge. Could I do this in record-breaking time? And I did. I made it there in record-breaking time. Zolo, I'm from America, and I'm a coach. Thanks for asking. We got Zolo from the Facebook audience jumping in here. Yep, I'm from America, and we do life coaching, so thanks for stopping by. So I got up to the top of this mountain, and I had this huge victory where I actually made it to the top on my own, did it in record-breaking time. I was at absolute peak fitness, and I could see the speck of people slowly making their way up. And I realized, man, I should be really proud of myself. I should be super pumped here. I should be, like, ripped because I set a goal and I did it. And this was actually the apex of my fitness journey too at the time. And it was this huge goal that I had not only been working on my fitness like a warrior in my brain, but it had paid off in an international trip where I had climbed a mountain. And I was unhappy. I was disappointed that I had not been fulfilled in achieving this goal the way I wanted to. And in that moment, I realized there was a missing element. I had a goal, it was like a pebble, and that goal was there, but I was not feeling the level of fulfillment that I should have been feeling. And I realized the missing element was people. This community that I left behind on the mountain, what good is it to achieve goals and to celebrate goals if there's no one to celebrate them with? Now, it's not always an either or proposition. Sometimes you have to let go of underperforming groups in order to be around other maximum performing groups. But no matter what, you have to do it with people. They say it's lonely at the top, and it is. But that's oftentimes because people themselves don't make the effort that once they let go of old groups to grab onto new groups. Quite often you find people, well, let's ask this question, pause. Carrie, what was it you knew? You said, I knew it. And maybe you knew that it was community and knew that it wasn't worth it without community. But I am curious of what you think it is. And Zolo, you asked this question. I'll answer this in another context because we're doing the show. So you've got to have these new communities. You know, quite often when people are chasing success, they're chasing guru bros, right? Like, I want to do this. And so I do my side hustle and achieve my side hustle. I write this book. And a lot of you want to like write books and do courses. And we've written books and we've done courses. And a lot of you, I've had a lot of success in the coaching and training area. I've got the show. I've got my courses. We've got the website. We've got the Discord. We've got the Facebook Goals and Gratitude group. But they still don't feel successful. And so what do? We work harder. We chase the next guru bro. Now we're going from the 10X book, and now we're going to hustle harder. And Carrie says, I don't think it has to be lonely. I agree. I don't think it does. I think that we focus so hard on achieving these things, we lose sight of what got us there. And then Brock jumps in and says, becoming or belonging can feel empty without the other. 100%. Because you can be involved in a community and not getting anywhere, and that feels unfulfilling, or you could get somewhere and not have partners or a community. It doesn't have to be a big community. It's just a community. And it can start to feel empty. We are meant for community and relationship. And my point for today is this: if you hear no other thing I say, I want you to hear this. I think that this is beyond what we are meant for. We are meant for community and relationship. More than that, I would say this: our identity is community and relationship. We are community and relationship. I am believing this so much that you are not a human if you are not in community and relationship. If you look at people who are homeless and you see them spiral, there's this downward spiral. And what do they call this? A lot of people that are dealing with the mental health challenges, of homelessness, it's called, of all things, it's often generalized as anti-social behavior. You know, when I go into a depression cycle, I often find myself pulling back from people around me. Anti-social behavior. And that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So you can achieve success and still feel unfulfilled. And how do we answer it? Work hard, work harder, buy the next book, sell more, market more, get even tighter abs, get lower body fat, take better Instagram photos, but we still feel lonely, still feel burnt out. And here's the thing. It's even worse if we succeed. It's one thing if we fail. If we fail, we often have people to nudge us and go, hey, see, it's not so bad. I tried when I was your age and it's okay to fail. And it is okay to fail. But how much worse is the loneliness when you succeed? We do say it's lonely at the top, and it doesn't have to be. We do say it's lonely when you excel. Doesn't have to be. So last week, Marissa and I started the week last Monday, 7 days ago. We got together and we had a tough conversation, not about each other, but about the world. We weren't at each other. We were just expressing, man, things are really tough right now. And it was really a really emotional day. And by the end of that day, we had turned it around. But what happened in that time? Well, we had scheduled multiple lunches with friends. We scheduled dinner with friends on Saturday. We had dinner with friends and celebrated someone's birthday. We call these comm lines. We didn't come up with that term. We were introduced to that term to a friend, Adam Welchel, Brittany Welchel. They kind of mentioned this idea of comm lines. You got to send out communication lines. If you are feeling depressed, the first thing you should do is not withdraw and go eat a bucket of ice cream, though maybe you should. You got to send out a comm line. You got to connect with people, whether or not you're close, whether or not you're friends. It doesn't matter. You need to actually reach out with a comm line and connect deeply with people. And that's what we did last week. And what started out as a rough week on Monday, by the end of the week was overpeopled. Me and Marissa made sure that we worked on our laptops out in coffee shops. Lisa Welsh says, boom, I love ice cream. Yeah, you're not lying. That is my go-to. Several times in the week, me and Marissa took our laptops and worked out, and we had these divine interactions. Wow, I was just thinking about that. Marissa and I were saying to each other, we were just having this one thought, and a person walked into the coffee shop that we knew, and it filled us up it was fulfilling, but it also moved our goals forward. We went out and saw other business people, and we're like, oh man, how divine is that? I was just really needing to connect with someone, and this person showed up, we had this conversation. It's funny when you set out to set yourself in the path of where other people are, how frequently other people show up. And it's funny how prayers get answered, but often through people. This is a concept that I've been floating in the State of the Spark for a long time. Prayers are 99% of the time answered through other people, but not if they don't know your prayers. Sometimes they do, right? Sometimes someone just says, hey, man, I was thinking about you and I thought I should bring you this. And it was exactly what you prayed for. And I believe that's evidence that we aren't meant for other people. We aren't meant for community. We are. The essence of us is community. We're not fully human unless we're in community. So last week, Marissa and I started a rough week, and we ended this rough week. And I share that with you, not to impress you, but to impress upon you that if you are feeling low, if you are feeling lost, if you are feeling insufficient, if you think, oh my God, I'm just not good at this people thing, what's the number one thing you should do? The people thing. If we are not good at the people thing, no matter what else we do, we'll be unfulfilled. I want to share this one final thought. This morning, some of you can look down at my Facebook feed and see a photo of two gentlemen who I tagged this morning, Nathaniel Kendrick and David Young. So the last week, as part of this effort to come out of this cave that me and Marissa have been in, working on our businesses, working on our goals, but it sometimes becomes a little suffocating when it's just the two of you looking at one another in a small little area. Oh, Brock says, the right people, because some connections are the equivalent of a bucket of ice cream, which at first might seem satisfying, but might give you stomach cramps at the end. You're not lying, Brock. So this morning, I was at Starbucks at 5 a.m. All last week, I've been getting up, making sure I get up early. I've just been waking up at like 3:30, 3:45. I get up, I shower, get around, and I go to the local coffee shop. And right now, the only coffee shop that's open that early is Starbucks. And so I go and sit at Starbucks, and I plan and prep for the show. Or if it's not a Monday or a Wednesday or Friday, I usually do the show Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays. If it's not one of those days, or at least Mondays and Fridays, if it's not one of those days, then I'm working on content for the Discord, or I'm working on something that I'm teaching the group on, whether it's the Facebook Goals and Gratitude group or the Spark Sites owners or the Discord group about what we're doing. I am fulfilling my mission. I get up at Starbucks at 5 to get my reading done. I do that to change it up because we're in the office here all day long because we have a remote office here. So I change it up. Well, in walks David Young, and we just wave. We're the only two people in the coffee shop at 5 a.m. And David Young walks in. David Young has a wildly successful DroneLaunchAcademy.com. They do the most amount. They're their industry's leader on launching drone certified individuals. They're phenomenal. Drone Launch Academy. Check it out. So David Young walks in, and we know each other from several business circles, which I'll share in a second. And we get to talking. And lo and behold, we turn around, there's Nathaniel Kendrick. Nathaniel Kendrick is his own CEO, COO in the making. He's done many ventures. He's wildly successful marketer, a digital marketer. But now he's turned all of his attention to a particular venture called Mike and Mike's Desserts. They're vegan, killer vegan cupcakes and desserts. They're passionate about healthy desserts that should be competing, that should taste phenomenal. And Nathaniel Kendrick is the COO of this company, making it happen, doing all the marketing, helping the team move forward and get organized. They both walk in, and suddenly my heart is filled up and 10 sizes bigger. I love seeing people work hard at 5 in the morning. I love seeing business owners that I know, like, and trust. We have so many different layers of relationships. We're not intimately familiar with each other, but we're very all familiar with each other. And guess what? I do the website for both the companies. Sparksites does the website for both the companies. So they came in and they sat and we got to talking, and they said two things. Number one, we were talking about something else entirely. And I asked David Young how Drone Launch Academy tutorials and coaching and training is going in. He said, our education platform works very well, but we find that there's a very low completion rate of our courses. We're selling well. We do a phenomenal company. But our people aren't completing their courses. So we thought about going to the cohort model, he said. And in the cohort model, the completion rate of these courses goes to the roof. People are saying, yeah, they love the content of our course, but what they really got out of it was the live webinars and the other business owners and the other drone business owners and the other teachers they've met. The cohort. This is the leading courseware for drone launches. And what the people get the most out of is other people. And the conversation went on, and it turned, again, this is 5 in the morning, and it turned to Nathaniel and how he's doing. And we started talking about the co-working space we all share, Catapult Lakeland. If you're ever in the area, if you're traveling to the area or visiting or from the area, visit Catapult Lakeland because of what Nathaniel said next. He said, I believe the number one value of the co-working space Catapult is doing what college should have done. It's creating relationships and network of other business owners. It's creating that network. You know, people say, I went to Harvard, I went to Yale. And what they're saying is I have a Rolodex, I have a contact list of people who've also done that. Catapult's the same way. It's got its ups, it's got its downs, but the absolute richest gold value from Catapult is the relationship. Yes, it's a gorgeous building. Yes, they've got a great staff. Yes, they're really good at putting everybody together. But if you work there one day a week or a few days a week or every other week, it doesn't matter. You're going to encounter someone, a person who will enrich your company. I would even dare make the claim that Catapult has been the number one source of leads and clients I have had in the last 8 years. I don't tell that to impress you. I tell you that to impress upon you the power of community building. I've already said it. Prayers are almost always answered through people. Brock is replying to Carrie and says, just give it your all, whatever it looks like. He's being super encouraging here. I love it. And then he says, cohorts are the key. Cohorts are the key. You can have all the passion in the world. You can achieve all the success in the world. But this ether that becomes this platform, it's almost like you create these little reference points of success. And there's these boulders. And then you pour almost an epoxy called community. And at first it's very liquid, but then it solidifies your successes, the learnings from your failures, the relationships that you built along the way, and you level up. And in what was now just boulders, just reference points of success points, but the epoxy hardened and that entire thing became your new plateau. And then you add new reference points and new successes and new boulders, and it's a new layer of epoxy that's the first liquidy, and it's kind of sticky, and if you're not careful, it'll suck you down. But then you could just wait until it solidifies. This is what the layers of ether of community do for you. Carrie says, this is huge. I've jumped our licensing completion for our teammates greatly because of group studying. That is a huge point and cannot be missed. In her industry, Carrie has jumped their licensing completion for their teammates because of group studying. This is exactly what David Young was getting at. And then just the encouragement and the good vibes going around on a beautiful Monday morning of just encouragement and that feedback loop. And here's the thing, I get tingles thinking about this interaction between Brock and Carrie because they're doing exactly what I'm expressing. In fact, I'm getting literally goosies thinking about this, because this is what is going on. If you know Brock at all, and if you know Carrie at all, if I put them at the table in a coffee shop, they'd probably never really connect. We all have our ups and downs, and I wouldn't say temperamentally they were a match. But all you have to do is encourage one another. And suddenly there is alignment. Alignment is not necessarily a set of skills. It's a set of principles and values and encouragement. And no, I don't know if Carrie and Brock are ever going to do business together per se. But the alignment, like I'm talking about, this metaphor or this allegory of these reference points solidify over time and you level up. So I want to end really quick with giving you 3 suggestions or challenges I have for you this week. And they are challenges because whether it's the pandemic or introversion or wounds of past relationships, we're going to have to overcome this to level up. The reason that next plateau seems so far out of reach is because there is no thing called a plateau. You make the plateau. And you make the plateau by having wins, successes, attempts, failures, having meaning-making conversations over coffee, over in chats, and you start to develop meaning and sense of all of these pros and cons and these things that have been happening to you. And slowly, the liquid is poured of relationship. It's over a coffee or emoting in a group or a cohort, and that's how the epoxy lays. So let's talk about this. Number 1, create a cohort immediately. Immediately this minute. Today, find just 2 people, not 1. 1's too small. 4 or 5 might be too much for you right now. Find 2 people and create a cohort. Now, here's the thing. The cohort, if you're not used to this, the cohort, hear me on this. If you're not used to cohorts, don't at first make it about your industry or your trade craft. Just create a cohort for accountability and showing up. You can always change it and set that expectation. Hey, guys, let's just do this out of accountability. My example is this. The reason we ran into David Young, the drone launch guy at Starbucks at 5 a.m., the reason we ran into Nate at Starbucks at 5 a.m. is they have a cohort. They just get up at 5 a.m. and say, let's just get together. They have completely different business models. And there's a third person who wasn't able to make it this morning, but they typically meet. They are in completely different industries. They literally just show up for each other. What do you think about masterminds? Carrie, if you're hearing me and if you know about masterminds, you know what I'm talking about is masterminds. Now, the way I'm using the word cohort in this context and the way I would use the word mastermind in this conversation, Carrie, I would say this. Masterminds are working on the same topic. I would have that caveat. I don't know if that's the right term, but you need 2 separate terms. One to indicate that it's a group of people working on the same topic and a group of people that don't have to be working on the same topic. The group of people that don't have to be working on the same topic could be a cohort. And that cohort is literally, we're just here to show up for each other. This group meets at 5 a.m., whether it's here or whether it's at Starbucks or Catapult. They only meet. They don't even talk. They don't check in on their KPIs. They literally just say, hey, I'm going to show up. And I'm going to sit and work on my social media. Great. I'm going to show up and I'm going to go work on my lesson plan. Great. Let's just show up for one another. It's like going to the gym. Both of you have 2 different workouts, but you both said you were going to be there. And it's twofold. On one side of the coin is the fear of shame if I don't do it. On the other side of the coin is the encouragement of not having to do these things alone. So here's the thing. Step 1, your first challenge this week, and I want to hear back from you. First challenge this week, create a cohort immediately. Find 2 people who are willing to meet up at least 1 day a week, maybe 2 or 3 days a week. And the only goal is to synchronize for a short period of time, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and I know I know a lot of you need to do this digitally. If you have to do it digitally, fine. But the challenge is to do this in person. Yes, to get in the car. Yes, to drive somewhere. So if that's a stretch for you, do it once a week. I'll tell you, we do this in several ways. On Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. at a local coffee shop where I met my wife and proposed to my wife called Black and Brew, every Saturday at 8 a.m., we meet up with our friend Eli and we have an open invite. If you're in town, come on out. If I'm in town, I show up. If you show up and I'm not there, it's not because we're not there. It's because we're out of town. Same topic, not the same industry brings great. Boom. Absolutely. This is absolutely true. So that is for the mastermind. Same topic, not the same industry. Well, you can do that too. That would be good for the cohort. Maybe you get together and talk, but you don't necessarily have to talk. So then real quick, create a cohort immediately. Make it about accountability. Just show up. You don't even have to cover your KPIs. You don't even have to talk about a topic unless you want to, like Carrie, and that's improvement. But sometimes we just need to show up for our business. Number 2, book lunch with 2 separate friends this week. If you want to have a friend, be a friend. If you want to make friends, be a friend. So, hey, they never call me. Well, how often do you call them? Not many people are paying attention to a show like this where they're out there trying to expand their friend group. In fact, they're just trying to get by. I'm encouraging you, the Spark citizens who are paying attention and trying to get ahead in life, but also trying to help other people get ahead in life. You be the initiator. Well, I'm an introvert. I don't do that. Get out of here. I'm telling you, I'm so proud of my wife. She is the apex introvert, and she scheduled 3 different things, 2 lunches, one-on-one with her and a friend, and then another dinner for all of us. We had 3 couples get together on Saturday, celebrate. One had a newborn. The others we haven't seen all summer long. It was very touching. Your challenge is to book 2 separate lunches in person if possible. Unless you're paraplegic, don't have a car, can't afford to get out. I get that, and I'm not going to knock you for that. That's your situation. But at minimum, do remote lunches with Zoom. But if you can, go meet with 2. And here's my challenge: 2 new people or people you haven't seen in a while. Go out. And number 3, here's my third one. Join a co-working space already. Yeah, but it costs another $100 a month or whatever it costs. Ours is one of the most affordable co-working spaces around. It's still only $125. You're going to make the most of that. There's coffee there. So instead of spending $170, oh, here we go. The apex introvert. Yeah, man, she is an apex introvert. It is intense, but she stepped out of that and was able to overcome it. I'm very proud of her. But the third thing is this: join a co-working space. Now, again, for the introverts, this is like nightmare fuel, right? But actually, it's the opposite, because nightmare fuel is you die alone. Nightmare fuel is you never get ahead because you don't have these connections. And listen, co-working spaces aren't perfect. In fact, if anything, I have to avoid them because I'm so people-oriented. My time is eaten up. Boom. Love this. Start a cohort. Have lunch. And remember, the cohort can change next week, but just start it. And if you're like, okay, I need to modify this. Maybe I do need to make it a mastermind instead of a cohort to make the most of my time. Make that change, but just start. Have lunch with 2 friends, join a co-working space. And then here's the co-working space, because Carrie says this, it might be distracting for me. Carrie, it is very distracting for me. So I have limited myself to spending a half day once a week or a whole day once every other week, because I know my time will be eaten up, because I know the advantage is people. So if I show up and open up my laptop, that's a placebo. That's just the reason that I'm there. But if I get up and go to the coffee machine and make a cup of coffee, and people start swarming, and we start talking, I know that's the value I am trying to extract. That's the win. And how much is this a win, Grant? Is that really a good use of my $125 a month? Let me tell you something. What are you paying for ads and leads? What are you paying for marketing? And at the same time, most of you would tell me that most of your sales come from word of mouth. Most of you tell me that most of your sales come from word of mouth. Now, that's not true of all of you, and I hope it's not true for long. We got to nail marketing. We got to do better marketing. But joining a co-working space, the leads alone have been huge for us. But the new thought patterns, also rehearsing being around humans again. The pandemic's been horrible for our human skills. But we've got to acclimate. We've got to realize that our truth, the truth that we have in our little truth bubble, isn't a universal truth. And we've got to create what they call collisions, where we collide with other people's truths. Sometimes we'll agree with them. Sometimes we won't agree with them, but we have to have these experiences to become better. We have to become equipped to handle these situations. Carrie said it's good to sprinkle it in, absolutely. And if you can't do the co-working space, I'd give you a low-hanging fruit of working from a coffee shop for one morning from 9 to noon, grab lunch and go back to your home office with the stated intent of, yes, I'm going to work. Yes, I need to get ahead, but really I'm trying to tell the world I'm available for encounters. We have to go be available for encounters. Why? Because all of your disparate wins. If you have a failure, how do you make sense or meaning of that failure? You might get into your head about it. You might be able to reason about it, but it also takes third-party views. It also takes third-party views to make more sense of your failures so that you can turn those into lessons and into wins. And so you need coffee shops. Love code coffee shops. I feel you, Carrie. And so your disparate wins, which is a little chunk, your disparate failures, which is another chunk, these only get tied together and cemented into this new identity called a plateau, this new level you're going to be achieving, it only happens with the glue of community. Otherwise, you're stacking an unbalanced cairn. If you didn't have this community component, if you were the staunch individualist business owner and you had a win, and then you stacked another win and another win, it's an unbalanced cairn, and the worst wind would knock it over. But with the ether that solidifies, with the glue that catalyzes to create a level out of it, without that, you're unbalanced. Brock says, I love code and coffee. Because Carrie said, I love code. And then she corrected herself, I love coffee. And then, of course, Jessica jumps in and says, I like that. Tell the world we are available for encounters. Listen, you can do this without being a loudmouth extrovert. I know I am. But you can do this simply by showing up and having a laptop in a coffee shop and flipping it up. I once had the idea that I want a little stick-on USB light. Bluetooth light, just a little light diode that goes on the outside of a laptop, so that when you open it up and you're available for encounters, you can hit a button and that light goes green, and it's just low-key green. And people would wonder what that is. But if you were unavailable for encounters, it would go red, and unconsciously that would repel people or attract people. That you're green for conversation or red for conversation. I thought that was a fun idea. Here's your bonus stretch goal. Here's your bonus stretch challenge that I'm going to offer you guys today. It's simply this. And I am remiss. I have not done this yet, but I need to do this. Volunteer in a community group, on a board, or in homes. What is the building of homes? I forget the name. It escapes me at the moment. But either in a volunteer effort, a cleanup, building of a house, or on a board or a committee. Ugh. Yep. I'm not looking forward to it, because of people, and they're horrible. They can be, power structures and all this goofy stuff. But it's not about that. A lot of people get involved in those groups because they want to get more influence. I'd like you to do something like this because I want you to develop the human skills we need to level up. I'm willing to bet that if I were better at being a person and better at people skills, I'd probably be easier to delegate. It'd probably be easier to market. It'd probably be easier to work with any partner. You got to work with partners. We're not going to get anywhere if we don't. So listen, you've got your challenges. Create a cohort immediately this week. Book a lunch with 2 friends you haven't seen in a while, or 2 new friends. Join a co-working space, or make it a habit at minimum to work out in a coffee shop and connect with other people to let the world know you're available for encounters. And listen, you can always retreat. If it becomes too much, you can always retreat for a week or 2. But we're not leveling up the way we should, because we're not submitting our experiences, our truths, to encounters with other people's truths. And we should. It's the healthy thing to do. Grant, that's challenging. It's frustrating. Humans are, I feel you. That doesn't let us off the hook. I encourage you for that this week. Remember, if you need any help, visit us at stateofthespark.com. Of course, I want you to join us in our Discord and join those conversations if you can make the bandwidth. Of course, I want you to check out our Patreon, because you get all of our stuff there. But listen, the thing I really want you to do this week, you guessed it, I want you to remember the mission. Igniting lives of explosive significance. Whoop. Starting with your own. Have a great day.